What's going on, everybody out in YouTube land, and welcome back to a new episode of GBA. In this episode we are going to go through most of my video game pickups over the last month or so, and some other video game items sprinkled in here or there. I haven't done one of these in a little while, so we actually got probably close to 100 games to go through, so I'm going to try to go ahead and get this thing started and push through most of these pretty quickly. If I have a little bit of a story for a specific game, I might stop and talk about it a little bit, but most of this is going to be pretty rapid fire, so we can get through this in a reasonable time. I don't want this video to last too long, because like I said, I know I've got about 80 to 100 games to show here. So let's go ahead and get this thing started, and I'll show you what I'm added to my collection over the last month or so. So first up, my mother and father-in-law got me this for Christmas. It's Pat Contry's latest Super Nintendo book. So yeah, this is the ultimate Nintendo guide to the SNES library. I picked up his NES book back when he released that. So this is one that I've been wanting to pick up for a little while. I just haven't gotten my hands on it. So you must know how excited I was when I opened this up on Christmas morning. So if my mother and father-in-law are watching this, I definitely want to say thank you so much for picking me up this book. And I've been looking at this like crazy. So these are great books. If you don't have them or you haven't never seen them, look them up, because he really goes in depth about these books, throughout these books, about all the games for the specific systems library. And as you can tell, it's a thick book, and these books weigh about 7 or 8 pounds a piece. So they're definitely good coffee table book material or whatnot. So yeah, definitely happy to get the ultimate guide to the SNES library in my collection. And like I said, thank you to my mother and father-in-law for that. So now, since we're moving into the games like usual, I'll probably show off the handheld stuff first. So first up, just a few Game Boy Advance games here, nothing crazy. We have Defender of the Crown on the Game Boy Advance. We have Sea Trader. There's something else written there, but it's too small to look, but Sea Trader for the Game Boy Advance. I have no idea what this is, but we have Snood for the Game Boy Advance. And last but certainly not least, the game that really caused me to get this little lot of Game Boy games, we have the classic NES series of Donkey Kong. That's kind of a subset that I'm going to start going for, is all the classic NES series Game Boy Advance games. So I do like these a lot. They're in a little bit different color cartridge shell than the normal Game Boy Advance games. And definitely, like I said, a subset that I'm going to try to get here very, very soon. So yeah, so those are like the 4 Game Boy Advance games I picked up. So now let's move on to Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. So for the Game Boy Color, we have Tom and Jerry's Mouse Attacks. We have Looney Tunes Collector Alert. We have Star Wars Episode 1 Racer for the Game Boy Color. We have Roswell Conspiracies, Aliens, Myths, and Legends. We have Driver, You Are the Wheelman for Game Boy Color. For Game Boy Color again, we've got Cyber Tiger. Alright, so next up we have the original Rayman. We have Donald Duck Going Quackers. MIB2, Men in Black the series. Alright, so now I think we're moving on to the original Game Boy games. We have Home Alone 2. Pokemon Special Edition Pikachu, Pokemon Yellow. We have Tasmania. We've got Game & Watch Gallery. Mortal Kombat 2. Baseball. And Black Bass Lure Fishing, I think is what that says. So yeah, guys, that'll do it for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. You know, nothing too special in that lot, but there's a couple games in there that I'm enjoying, and some ones that I'm looking forward to trying out in the near future. So next up, let's go ahead and show some of the systems that I did not pick up a whole lot of games for. Most of this is more of the modern stuff, I guess you could say. So for PlayStation 4, the only PS4 game I got, we have Origami Collector's Edition. I really don't know too much about this game. I have heard good things about it, so when I found this game for under $5, so I figured it was a good time to pick it up because it is something I've been wanting to look into. I just haven't had a chance to really play this yet. So for the Xbox One, I picked these up because I found them super cheap. Nothing special here. We have Forza Horizon 2. And we have Redout. Like I said, I found these games for really cheap, so I just decided to pick them up. Alright, so moving right along, let's just go ahead and show the Nintendo Switch stuff next. From Limited Run Games, we have Battle Princess Madeline. This is a really fun game, especially if you like that old vein of like Ghost and Goblin style game. I would highly suggest this one. It's a lot of fun. And the art style is really good too. So next up we have from Limited Run Games the dual pack of Turok and Turok 2 on the Nintendo Switch. And this comes in like the sleeve case that has both the games on the inside there. I haven't had a chance to play either one of these on the Switch. I still have these sealed as a matter of fact, but I thought this was a pretty cool set to pick up. And I'm always a sucker for these like slip cover big box games. Alright, so we have Moto Racer 4. From Limited Run Games, we have Duck Game. We have Luminous Chronicles, Luminous Avenger 9, maybe is what that says. I'm not exactly sure. We have Fairy Fencer F Advent Dark Force for the Nintendo Switch. And then last but not least, we had the collector's edition of Jumanji for the Nintendo Switch. I haven't opened this or played this game in general, but the main reason why I picked this up is because I thought it was just neat how it looked like the Jumanji board game from the movie. So yeah, those are my Switch games that I've picked up. Granted, most of these came from Limited Run Games, but happy to add them to the collection nonetheless. So next up, let's go ahead and show the two PS1 games that I got. We have The Next Tetris on PlayStation 1. And next up, a series of 3D platformers that I don't feel like get enough credit, but I absolutely love both of these games a lot. And when I was a young teenager, I loved playing them on the PS1. We've got Croc 2. Like I said, the original Croc game on PS1 is a really good 3D platformer that I liked a lot when I was a kid. So yeah, those are my two PS1 games that I picked up. Alright, so next up, let's go ahead and show 3 Master System games that I picked up. Not nothing too crazy here either. So for the Master System, we have Altered Beast. This is definitely not my favorite port of Altered Beast, but you know, this is a staple in any Sega collection, so I figured why not pick it up. So Altered Beast on the Master System. We have Rambo 3. And last but not least, we've got Alien Syndrome. Yeah, so those are my 3 Master System pickups. So moving right along in the same vein, let's go ahead and show you some of the Genesis games. I picked up 3 Genesis games here. We've got Golden Axe 2 on the Genesis. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys by now know, after me telling you in a bunch of these videos, I love beat-em-up games. So the Golden Axe games, I have a lot of fond memories of them when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, the original Golden Axe arcade game, I played a ton of that in my preteen years. But yeah, so Golden Axe 2 on the Genesis, very, very fun game. Another really fun game that I don't feel like gets talked about a whole lot, we've got Jewel Master. I really like this game. If you haven't played it and you can get a hold of it fairly easily, go ahead and give this a try. It's really, really fun. And last but not least, my favorite pickup for the Genesis this month, we have Decap Attack. This is just a really fun early platformer on the Genesis. The art style is really neat. The enemies are really neat. It's just a lot of fun, so I definitely suggest this one too. So those are 3 pretty awesome Genesis games to add to the collection. So yeah, that's my Genesis games. So let's go ahead and move on to the one Atari Jaguar game I got. I very rarely pick up Atari Jaguar games, but I saw this one for real cheap, so I figured I'd go ahead and get it. We have Checkered Flag on the Atari Jaguar. It's definitely not the best game in the world, but when you can pick up a Jaguar game complete in box for less than $8, you're going to pick it up. So yeah, Checkered Flag for the Jaguar. Alright, so next up, I did a video on this on the channel not that long ago. If you guys didn't watch it, maybe look back and take a look at it, because I actually really enjoyed making the video. I actually picked up the Aladdin Deck Enhancer for the NES. So this is a really neat little piece of NES history. And like I said, if you haven't watched my video, go back and check it out. And also do some research on this, because it is quite an interesting little story. So along with the Aladdin Deck Enhancer, I went ahead and picked up every single game that came out with it. Which there was only 6 releases outside of the the pack-in game, so it wasn't a big set to complete. So here's 2 of the games. We've got 4 Quattro Sports and 4 Quattro Adventure. We've got Micro Machines, The Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy, Big Nose Freaks Out, and Linus Spacehead's Cosmic Crusade. So yeah, that's literally everything that ever came out for the Aladdin Deck Enhancer. And like I said, it's a pretty neat little piece of history. Go back and check my video out if you didn't, and read up on it. It's a good read for sure. Alright, so moving right along, let's go ahead and show you the Sega CD games that I picked up this month. Alright, so starting out, I usually don't show disc-only games, but I actually ran out of DVD cases, So I haven't really been able to print out any artwork and put these in DVD cases, so you will see some loose discs in this video. But for the Sega CD, we have Time Gal. So this is the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective and Sega Arcade Classics Dual Pack. What's funny is I actually already have this, but my Sherlock Holmes games was not working for some reason, which is kind of weird because the game looked flawless. So what I did is I just went ahead and found this for really cheap, and I'm just going to swap out this Sherlock Holmes disc for the one that I have and figure out something to do with this. But yeah, so I just picked this up to replace the Sherlock Holmes DVD with mine. Alright, so next up on Sega CD we have Dracula Unleashed. We have Sylphid. We have Power Factory featuring CNC Music Factory. Next up, we've got Stellar Fire. And probably my favorite pickup for the Sega CD this month, we've got Mortal Kombat. So this is a really good port of the original Mortal Kombat game, and if you have a Sega CD, I would suggest picking this up because it is it's very good, and it's better than the original Sega Genesis version. And also Sylphid. Sylphid is a really fun shooter game if you like that kind of stuff. But yeah, so those are my Sega CD pickups for the month. So let's go ahead and move on to GameCube next, guys. I got quite a few GameCube games this month, mainly because of some of those GameStop sales I was taking advantage of. So I'll show you guys the loose disc games first, because like I said, I'm out of DVD cases. We have Time Splitters 2. We have Tom and Jerry War of the Whiskers. We've got Mario Party 4. Nickelodeon's Party Blast. And TMNT. So some pretty good games there. And like I said, once I get some DVD cases, I'll print out some artwork and they'll look good on the shelf with the rest of my GameCube games. So next up we have Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. We have Splinter Cell Double Agent. A really fun game on the GameCube. One that I've actually enjoyed what I've played so far. We have Monster House. We've got Die Hard Vendetta. Harry Potter's Quidditch World Cup. Amazing Island. Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. What a title. That's a long title for a video game. I'm looking forward to actually giving this one a good go. I've had quite a few people in the comments section tell me that this is a decent game. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying this. I just haven't had a chance yet. We have The Sims. A really fun wrestling series. We've got WWE Day of Reckoning 2. And like I said, these Day of Reckoning games, you can only play them on the GameCube. We have Army Men RTS. Army Men Real-Time Strategy. We've got a more standard Army Men game. We've got Army Men Sarge's War. Next up, we have a game that when I was playing this, I was actually having a little bit of a good time with it. And I mentioned in the video that I showed this off in that I've seen several videos really hammering hard on this game. And like I said, I was enjoying it for the little bit that I played it. We have Superman Shadow of Apocalypse. I mean, I haven't really gotten too far into it, but like I said, it's not as bad as some of the people make it out to be. We have Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. I don't know what it is, but I really just rather play the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy on the original PlayStation. But this isn't a bad game. Really fun game here. We've got Rampage Total Destruction. These games are just mindless fun. Just pop them in and have a good time for a little bit. So I really enjoy a lot of the Rampage games. A series of games I really like on the PlayStation 2, and now I'm getting to play them on the Nintendo GameCube. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nightmare, the third game. Like I said, there's a 3-part series of these games on the PS2 and the GameCube, and this is the third one, Mutant Nightmare. These are a lot of fun if you like some of the classic Ninja Turtle games. These play a lot like them, just, you know, updated, of course. Last but not least, the game that I'm really happy to add to the collection, especially getting it for around 20 bucks on that GameStop deal. We've got Super Smash Bros. Melee. You know, I didn't really play this one too much. I played the original Smash Brothers, and then I didn't really pick them up again until the Wii one and the Switch one. And I really see why people love this game. It's a lot of fun when I put it in and I try to play it. But to be honest with you, I still think that Smash Brothers Ultimate is still probably my favorite Smash game out of all of them. But definitely happy to get Smash Brothers Melee in my GameCube collection. It's one I've been missing for a little while. Alright, so moving right along, let's go ahead and show some of the Nintendo 64 games next. Alright, for the Nintendo 64, we had Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. I really like the Rush games. Super fun. I really like playing these in the arcade, and they're fun at home too. We have Tigger's Honey Pot, I think. No, Tigger's Honey Hunt. Really fun arcadey style boxing games. We've got Ready to Rumble Boxing. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. We've got Battle Tanks. Command and Conquer. Really fun game. Super awesome game. I really like the original arcade game too, and this one plays a lot like it. It's just a lot of fun. We've got Robotron 64. If you're just looking for a good pick up and play game, you cannot go wrong with Robotron 64. A lot of fun. We've got Paperboy on the Nintendo 64. Perfect Dark. Really fun first-person shooter on the Nintendo 64. Not quite as good as 007 GoldenEye, but it's still pretty darn good. This game looks a lot better too. We have Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. Bomberman Hero. Body Harvest. And last up, we've got Flying Dragon, which is a very interesting 3D fighting game. Alright, so those are my Nintendo 64 games I added over the last month. So moving right along, we'll go to Super Nintendo next. I've got quite a few Super Nintendo games here. So let's go ahead and move through these pretty quick. We have Ultraman. Next up, Bad Game, Wayne's World. This is a horrible game. We have Wings 2 Aces High. WWF Royal Rumble. Judge Dredd. A game I will never play, we've got Madden 94. Hole-in-One Golf. TNN Bass Tournament of Champions. We've got WCW Super Brawl. We have The Simpsons Bart's Nightmare. Chuck Rock. Super Troll Islands. Wario's Woods. MTV's Beavis and Butthead. Mario is Missing. We have Jurassic Park Part 2, The Chaos Continues. For a long time, I didn't know there was 2 Jurassic Park games on the Super Nintendo because the artwork looks so similar on the original Jurassic Park and the second part of Jurassic Park. But when I found out, I picked it up pretty quickly. This is a really fun little racing game on the Super Nintendo. We have Street Racer. The graphics are pretty good on this game too. If you get a chance, give this one a try. This is a game that you don't hear too many people talk about. It's like a puzzle game, but we have the Brainies. Pretty uncommon. A really different game here. One that I've been wanting to add for a little while. We have Rocky the Rodent. And this is a game you don't really hear people talk about too much, but this is a really fun, like, beat-em-up style game. And I don't even really know if I'm saying this right, but it's called The Combat Tribes. The Combat Tribes. Like I said, this is a game I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. It's fairly uncommon. But if you get a chance and you like beat-em-up style games, definitely give this one a try and look it up. The Combat Tribes. Alright, so those are my Super Nintendo games. So last up, but definitely not least, I'm going to show you my NES games that I picked up over the last month. And I've got some games in here I've been wanting to get for years now. So I'm definitely happy to add a lot of these to my collection. And happy to check some of these off my list. So first up, we have Trog. This is kind of an addictive little like puzzle style game. If you haven't played it, I definitely would say give it a try. We have the Miracle Piano. I actually don't have the piano yet. so I'm definitely looking to add that. I don't really play the piano, but as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, I'm going for a whole set of NES games, so I had to get this game because it's part of the set. But yeah, the Miracle Piano. Definitely an interesting little bit of history about the NES, for sure. So next up we've got Gauntlet 2. So this is one of the original black box games, and I actually have a ton of fun playing this game. It's really fun if you got 2 players. Pretty basic, simple concept, sort of like Joust, but a lot of fun nonetheless. We've got Balloon Fight. Like I said, if you got 2-player multiplayer going on, this is very competitive and a lot of fun. Another really fun, kind of like a shooter game that I've been looking to add for a while, just haven't picked it up for whatever reason. We've got Gunsmoke by Capcom. Like I said, this fits into that shooter vein of game, kind of, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely give this one a try if you can find it. And I know this was one of the NES games that has various variants, like some of the artwork's different on different cartridges, but Gunsmoke is a fun one to get. Fun one to play. So a game I don't see very often at all. I don't really know how uncommon it is, but I barely ever see this game. And it's really not a lot of fun, so I don't really suggest this one unless you can find it for a really good deal. We have The Mutant Virus Crisis in a Computer World, I think is what that says. So, I mean, yeah, I was really happy to check this off the list because, like I said, I do not see this game very often at all. For a long time, I didn't even know that game existed. Alright, so a true classic on the NES, part of the original Black Box series, we have the original Donkey Kong, which is part of the Arcade Classic series. This plays pretty much like the standard Donkey Kong arcade game, but you can't go wrong with this. And I've been looking to add this one. I'm getting really close to completing the whole Black Box series now, so definitely happy to get this. Another game that's fairly uncommon, we have the Space Shuttle Project. This is like a simulator, spaceship simulator game. I'm not really the biggest fan of those style games, but I'm glad that I finally found this for a decent price so I could add it to the collection. A really fun game. Sometimes this game gets crapped on a little bit, but I actually have a lot of fun. Maybe partially because of nostalgia, but we have G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. There's another G.I. Joe game on the NES, the Atlantis Factor, which I already have that, but I do prefer this one over both of those games. So I do suggest this game if you come across it. It's not a super pricey game, but it's in like that, $40 to $50 range. But definitely worth it if you ask me. Really, really fun beat 'em up game. One of my favorites. We've got River City Ransom. We've got Mega Man 6. So I'm a really big fan of the original Mega Man games on NES, the first 6 of them. Preferably, I really like the first, second, and third game the most, but Mega Man 6 is not bad. And one of the cool things about adding this is now I just need Mega Man 5, and I've got all 6 Mega Man games on the NES, so I was definitely happy to check this off the list. And I got this in one of those GameStop deals that I was talking about. If you guys didn't watch my GameStop videos, look back through my videos and watch those, because I got a bunch of games for a really good price. I think I paid what ended up to be about $20 for this game, which is not bad at all. So yeah, Mega Man 6 finally checked off the list for the NES. So the final 2 games I added to the collection this month. I've been wanting both of these games for at least a few years now, but these are a couple of the games that go for that price point of over $100 that, I don't pull the trigger on those games unless I feel like I'm getting a pretty good deal, because I hate paying retail for a game. But the first one that I checked off the list and one that I've been looking to add for a while because I love this series of games. We have Contra Force on the NES. One of my favorite YouTubers that I watch currently, 8-Bit Glitch 79, he's a huge Contra fan as well. And I know he's been looking to add this game to his collection. I don't know if he's gotten it yet, but if he hasn't, I just want to say I hope you get it soon, Glitch. But I'm definitely happy to check this off of my list. So yeah, Contra Force on the NES. And I got this for a stellar deal, so it's definitely time to pull the trigger. And last but not least, the game that I've been wanting on the NES the most since I started collecting, it's a beat-em-up game, and I absolutely love those. I've been wanting this game for several years now, and I found a guy that sold this to me for a great deal. So even though I still paid a little bit more than what I wanted to, I had to pull the trigger while I could, because I wasn't going to find this for any cheaper. We have, from Capcom, Mighty Final Fight. So yeah, this is a game that's pretty hard to get your hands on. This one has a little bit of label damage, but as you see, it's not too bad. And this game is hard to get for under $200. And like I said, I found this for a pretty good deal. I paid probably about $70 less than what retail is on this game, so I figured that was as good as I was going to get. At least unless there's this huge video game crash that everybody talks about. But, you know, I don't do this for value. I want these games in my collection because I love them. And Mighty Final Fight is such a fun, classic beat-em-up on the NES. I love the chibi, cutesy characters in the game, and it's just a lot of fun. I love playing this. Ever since I got this, I've been playing it every single day. So I'm definitely happy to finally add Mighty Final Fight to my NES collection. And that's another one that I've checked off the list, which I'm also pretty excited because I just recently crossed over the 500 game total for the NES. So I'm currently setting over 500 NES games. It is getting harder to find the ones that I need, but still, it's just neat to cross over that 500 game threshold. But yeah, guys, so those were my pickups for this month. Like I said, you know, roughly 80 to 100 games there. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this episode of GBA and watching me show these games. It just means a lot to me that you guys want to see what I'm adding to the collection and hear my opinions on some of these games. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite pickup was that I got this month. I would love to know. And let me know if you have any questions about any of these games. I would gladly answer anything that you guys need. I think I'm going to end the video here. Probably go put up some of these games finally since I filmed this video. Maybe open up some more boxes. Try to enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you do too. So until next time, I'll see you later.